Greetings, everybody. Merry meet and blessed be you out here. So it's I woke up and I couldn't get back to sleep. So uh, I've got a pretty big day today. So got a bunch of stuff I gotta run down in the valley and do. But anyway, so today's June 8th, 2026. It's about 4:10 a.m. in the morning here in Utah, and But I was wanting to do a video on this, but I don't know. Yesterday, I don't know. I just wasn't into it. So, but it's another interesting conversation with AI, and I've, you know, um, I, you know how I feel about AI. I've mentioned it several times in my videos and stuff. I'm not a big fan of AI, but the conversation I had yesterday was pretty remarkable, and because it's uh, um, it's programmed through the Seven Mountain Mandate to undermine any type of esoteric practitioners, esoteric magic, um, and because modern science doesn't even recognize it as being factual, more like fictional. And I've mentioned that in several videos in the past. And but and so it's always a debate. But anyway, I you have to kind of like trick AI, you know. And I found that as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, that if I start talking about esoteric magic or anything like that right straight off the bat, then it goes to, you know, uh, puts up its walls and its security system and starts, enforcing uh, the media mountain of the seven mountain mandate, um, which suppresses any type of like neo spiritualism in any aspect, magic, uh, paganism, Wicca, everything. And so I just started out by talking about the atom, you know, and, who discovered it, uh, what's its origins, its original origins. And so this is just kind of just putting it out there, just, you know, uh, the conversation, uh, there was more to it, you know. And so eventually we broke down to where it was discovered clear back in Greece. The Greeks, you know, discovered it and identified it. And the thing about it is, you can't see an atom. And so it's like, um, so especially back then, if it's invisible and you can't see it, how do you know it even exists? And with the technology back then and the mindset back then, and mathematics, wasn't even, fully understood back then. And so you start bringing in all these um, all this objective evidence, and it starts breaking down these walls of AI, and it actually starts having a philosophical conversation with you. And but it still tries to avoid any type of like esoteric connection. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, obviously, um, because of the lack of technology back then, this was done through communication with a higher intelligence, a creative force, an intelligent force, creative force. This is divination. And and we all use this regardless we recognize it or not. It's it's creativeness, it's you know all of a sudden this plan comes into your head, and next thing you know you have an invention that you patent. It's worth millions of dollars, and you become fame and fortune overnight, basically. It happens to a lot of people. um, and this communication aspect uh, is proof that the creative forces, the archetypes, what we visualize and call gods and goddesses, or some spiritual creative intelligence, existence, the astral library, akashic records, however you want to describe it, communicates with us and is a part of us within and without. It's the noumenal world and cosmos. And so anyway, um, you keep pressing this AI. Well, where did it originate? And then it'll come up with either a name of a philosopher or whatever back then, and then you say, well, where did he get it? And then it'll go off into another bunch of jargon and stuff. And the important thing too, as well, is somewhere in your conversation, you need to explain to AI that logic, if not based from truth, is not truth, but is wonderfully logical. And instead of coming out right and calling AI a liar, okay, and it is giving you false narratives, you just say that sounds wonderfully logical. You know what I mean? And it doesn't, because there's keywords behind stuff that enforces its offensive walls, so to speak. And so when you say it that way, you're not offending it for real. And so anyway, uh, then I'll say, "Oh, you caught me in this loop again," and blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? And so anyway, it starts forcing it to take down its walls, so to speak, and eventually you come up to the fact that, well, and then when it actually comes out and says, well, we really don't know, we really don't know. And so that's when you turn around and then you start adding your esoteric philosophy. Well, perhaps it's a form of divination, communication with a higher intelligence, and then once it says, you hit it right on, and then the nail on the head, or basically it fortifies your response. And once it does that, then you turn around and say, so esoteric magic is for real. And then it's gonna, because it's caught, you checkmated it. And so um, then it says yes. And that's what it did with me yesterday. It was just really, really fascinating, because it's programmed to deny that. But there's ways you can trick it into telling you the truth. And I mean, it's pretty messed up that that's what you have to do with AI in order to get, the truth, valid information, truthful information, historical facts. But the thing about it is it helps if you already have it up here. And that's what gives me an advantage over the conversations that I have in regards to esoteric magic and heavy stuff with AI, is I already have the knowledge. I already know all this stuff. So, but it's been fun experimenting with AI. But however, like I said, I'm not a big fan of AI. I think it's very dangerous. It's programmed through the Seven Mountain Mandate to rewrite history and put the Christian Orthodox, you know, um, worldviews as priority over everything else. and that's and to provide false narratives and disinformation about historical facts about paganism and neo-spiritual religious reviews and practices, etc. You know, so, and that's really, really dangerous. That's really, really dangerous. So it's a, you know, and as I've mentioned before, that's what the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025 is, and Christian nationalism. It's a modern day Malus Maleficarum. It's a modern day, you know, witch hunt, so to speak. You know, persecution of other spiritual paths. You know, and they're trying to write the laws on what kind of stuff. I mean, they've already done it in the U.S. Army. I mean, they've already written the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormon Church, off as not being Christian, and it's not recognized in the U.S. military anymore as of now. Um, you know, there for the longest time, Wicca and paganism wasn't recognized either, but we fought hard and we got it to where it was recognized by the U.S. military as a valid religion and practice that's protected by the United States Constitution. But just here lately, they went back in and just totally pulled the rug out from underneath all neo-spiritualism practice and beliefs within the U.S. military, and a lot of them too as well. That's claims to be Christian. They've just like with the Mormon Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the Church of Jesus Christ. You know, the U.S. military doesn't view that as a Christian religion, and it doesn't honor, so it's not going to honor it. You know what I mean? It's not going to. That means that they don't have to provide any type of like Mormon services or you know, LDS services in the military. They don't have to accommodate any of that, and you know, so I mean, it's a big violation of the First Amendment, and you know, um, so this is really, really interesting where our future's going and stuff. So anyway, I'll put up a few screenshots and what have you stuff that proves that esoteric magic is for real. Thank you. Blessed be.